Hello everyone, welcome to our guide ICS. As part of answer writing tips, today we will discuss about structure of an answer. Here a question arises. What is meant by structure? Structure is the skeleton of answer. Structure is the skeleton of answer. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మన హ్యూమన్ బాడీలో బోన్స్ ఏ విధంగా అస్థిపంజరాన్ని ఫామ్ చేస్తాయో అదేవిధంగా స్ట్రక్చర్ కూడా ఆన్సర్కి ఒక షేప్ని ఇస్తుంది. నెక్స్ట్, వాట్ ఆర్ ద డిఫరెంట్ పార్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ ఏ స్ట్రక్చర్? Structure. First part is the introduction. Introduction means parichayam. Second part is body, which is the main part of the answer. Next one is conclusion, means ముగింపు. ఈ 3 కలిసి మనకు ఒక గుడ్ ఆన్సర్ని ఫ్రేమ్ చేయడానికి యూజ్ అవుతాయి. ఆల్ త్రీ పార్ట్స్ కాన్స్టిట్యూట్స్ ఎ గుడ్ ఆన్సర్. Now we will discuss about introduction, body and conclusion in detail. First, we will discuss about introduction. Introduction means parichayamu. We also know that first impression is the best impression. So we have to impress the evaluator with a good introduction so that he will go more deeper into your answer. He will get enthusiasm to know what you have written in the answer. So introduction is very good. Introduction is necessary for good answer, and it will fetch one or half more marks than others who wrote an average introduction. In other words, introduction is also known as trailer or glimpse for your answer. Introduction is the trailer or glimpse for your answer. మనకు ట్రైలర్ నచ్చితే మూవీకి ఏ విధంగా వెళ్తామో, ఎవాల్యుయేటర్ కూడా మన ఇంట్రడక్షన్ నచ్చితే మన ఆన్సర్ని ఇంకా మంచిగా చూసి మంచి మార్క్స్ వేయడానికి స్కోప్ ఉంటుంది. సో గుడ్ ఇంట్రడక్షన్ ఈజ్ నెససరీ ఫర్ గుడ్ ఆన్సర్. Now we will discuss how to write a good introduction for various types of questions which are asked in the state public service examinations as well as Union Public Service Commission mains examinations. We can write introduction. I categorized introduction into three ways. We can write introduction in 3 ways. One is definition based, or significance based. Under this, we have to identify the keyword in the question. We have to identify the keyword in the question, then define the Define the keyword. Define the keyword for your introduction. For your introduction. So, definition based introduction based upon identify the keyword present in the question, define the keyword for your introduction. మనం ఏదైనా ఒక మ్యారేజ్కి వెళ్తే పెళ్ళికి వెళ్ళగానే అందులో పెళ్ళి కొడుకు ఆ అబ్బాయి, పెళ్ళి కూతురు ఈ అమ్మాయి అని మనం టక్కున ఏ విధంగా చెప్తామో క్వశ్చన్ను చూడంగానే మనం కూడా కీవర్డ్ని అదే విధంగా ఐడెంటిఫై చేయాలా. కీవర్డ్ని ఐడెంటిఫై చేసిన వెంటనే మనం ఆ కీవర్డ్ను డిఫైన్ చేస్తే ఒక గుడ్ ఇంట్రడక్షన్కి ఫ్రేమ్ చేయడానికి స్కోప్ ఉంటుంది. నెక్స్ట్ సిగ్నిఫికెన్స్ బేస్డ్. Significance based. For example, you have no scope to write a definition for the keyword. Then you can use what is the significance. Like for example, for inclusive growth, for a concept like inclusive growth, you can introduce two types. Definition oriented. There is definition for inclusive growth as well, and you can use significance based. Significance based. Under this, recently union budget 2025-26లో మెయిన్గా ఇంక్లూజివ్ గ్రోత్ అనేది ప్రయారిటైజ్ చేశాడు. సో వీ కెన్ యూజ్ ఫర్ ఇఫ్ దెర్ ఈజ్ ఎ క్వశ్చన్ ఫర్ ఇంక్లూజివ్ గ్రోత్, యూ కెన్ write the definition for the inclusive growth, or you can use significance. For example, union budget 2025-26, the main focus is upon inclusive growth. You can also use significance based. We will discuss, or we will see few introductions in next part of the video. Second one is current affairs based. Current affairs based introduction. Current affairs based introduction. Introduction should be based upon recently based upon current affairs. మనకు రీసెంట్గా జరిగినటువంటి న్యూస్ ఆర్టికల్స్లో వచ్చిన దాన్ని బేస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఏదైనా కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ని బేస్ చేసుకొని మనం ఇంట్రడక్షన్ రాయొచ్చు. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, రోల్ ఆఫ్ గవర్నర్ ఆర్ ఇష్యూస్ ఆఫ్ గవర్నర్ అని అడిగినప్పుడు రీసెంట్గా మనకు గవర్నర్ వర్సెస్ స్టేట్ ఆఫ్ తమిళనాడు జడ్జ్మెంట్ 2025. You can use this governor versus state of Tamil Nadu judgment as a current affairs based introduction. It will give you more marks. And third one is report based introduction. Report based introduction. If there is no scope for definition oriented introduction or current affairs based introduction, then go for report based introduction. For example, there is a question for disaster management. You can introduce with recently climate risk index 2025, which was released by German Watch అనే కంపెనీ తీసుకొచ్చినటువంటి క్లైమేట్ రిస్క్ ఇండెక్స్ ద్వారా యూ కెన్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ డిజాస్టర్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ ఎఫర్ట్స్ ఇన్ ద కంట్రీ. ఆర్ అదర్వైజ్ ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు ఇంట్రడ్యూస్డ్ ఫర్ ఫ్యూ టాపిక్స్ లైక్ పావర్టీ ఎలివేషన్ ఆర్ employment generation, you can use a report called Human Development Index. You can use that. Recently released Human Development Index 2025, India ranked 130th rank, which shows India has to improve more in human development. India has to invest in its population. It clearly shows. And you can also, the previous ranking was about 132, or I don't think exact number, 132 or 133. India improved 3 positions from 130 to 130, which shows the efforts made by the government, union government and state governments showed a positive impact on the poverty alleviation and employment generation. You can use like this. According to me, my priority is first, I will go for definition oriented introduction is good for any form of question. My first preference is for definition, otherwise significance based. Second priority, you have to try to introduce your answer maximum with definition or significance based. If there is no scope for definition based introduction or significance based introduction, then go for current affairs based and report based introduction. You can use these definition based or current affairs based and report based introduction for every subject except history. History, because history is more of a static, remaining all subjects are dynamic, which changes from time to time, but history never changes. So for this history, you have to introduce your answer with the names of the founders of dynasty. For example, there is a question for Shatavahana dynasty architecture. You have to introduce what is Shatavahana dynasty. That means names of the founder, using the names of the founder, timeline for the ruling, timeline for their dynasty, timeline for dynasty. For example, Shatavahanas ruled from 230 BC to 220 AD. Like that, you have to introduce. And what are the sources for the? What are the sources for their history? Sources for their history. Like for Shatavahana, we have inscriptions like Nasik and Naneghat inscription. We can write Shatavahana dynasty was founded by Shimuka. They ruled major part of the Deccan during the period 230 AD to 230 BC to 220 AD. And Nasik and Naneghat inscriptions are the chief sources for the Shatavahana dynasty. Like that, we can introduce history, which is an exception for these three types of introduction. For history, you have to use like this. Or for example, modern history, you may come across Quit India or civil disobedient or home rule movement or Swadeshi movement. Then you can introduce the timeline for that movement. What is the significance? For example, home rule movement, which started in 1916, was initiated by Balagangadhar Tilak. It played a major role in the Indian freedom struggle. Like that, you can introduce history answers with their time period and who initiated the movement or who are the founders of dynasty. You can use like that. For polity, it is also somewhat different, but you can use in many cases. For polity, you can use definition based or significance based. For polity, you can use articles of the constitution, and case judgments for introduction. We will discuss how to write introduction for polity subject and history, next geography, economy, SNT and environment in subsequent classes. Next, we comes to next part of the structure is body. It is the main and most important part of your answer. Most important part of your answer. How many marks you are going to get for an answer depends upon the body of your answer. మెయిన్ మనకు ఎన్ని మార్క్స్ వస్తాయి, మనం ఎంత మంచిగా రాసాము అనేది అసెస్ చేయాలంటే వన్ మస్ట్ లుక్ ఇన్ టు ద బాడీ ఆఫ్ ద ఆన్సర్. ఫర్ దిస్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు read properly, understand clearly, and identify the different dimensions of questions which was asked in the examination. You have to read the question properly, understand it, and identify the different dimensions of the question. Identify the different parts of the questions. You have to address each and every dimension asked in the question. In order to get good marks, you must answer every dimension to get good marks. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ క్వశ్చన్లో ఒక 3 డైమెన్షన్స్ అడగచ్చు, 4 డైమెన్షన్స్ అడగచ్చు. నువ్వు ఆ క్వశ్చన్లో ఇచ్చినటువంటి ప్రతి డైమెన్షన్ను కవర్ చేస్తేనే నీకు ఎగ్జామ్లో మంచి మార్క్స్ అనేవి వస్తాయి. అండ్ ఇన్ ఆర్డర్ టు అడ్రస్ ఈచ్ డైమెన్షన్ యూ నీడ్ good content. Earlier we discussed that for good content you must revise properly standard sources or news articles or current affairs. A good content comes from standard sources, current affairs, newspapers and other sources. You must revise properly in order to get the good content. Next we will see what are the different how the questioning pattern is there in main examination regarding what are the dimensions, how to introduce, we will discuss later. Next, the third part is conclusion means ముగింపు. అంటే మన మూవీలో ట్రైలర్ను చూసి మూవీకి ఏ విధంగా పోతాం, లైక్ ఫస్ట్ మనము ఇంట్రడక్షన్ ట్రైలర్ అని ఏ విధంగా అనేమో, ఇప్పుడు కంక్లూజన్ వచ్చేసి టైటిల్ కార్డ్ ఫర్ యువర్ ఆన్సర్. టైటిల్స్ మూవీ అయిపోగానే టైటిల్స్ ఏ విధంగా వస్తాయో మన ఆన్సర్ అయిపోగానే కంక్లూజన్ కూడా అదే విధంగా రాయాలి. కంక్లూజన్ అనేది 2 to 3 లైన్స్లో కంప్లీట్ చేయాలి. వీ హ్యావ్ టు కంప్లీట్ కంక్లూజన్ ఇన్ 2 to 3 lines. You can conclude an answer in 3 different ways. One is balanced conclusion, futuristic conclusion, next SDG linked conclusion, sustainable development goals linked conclusion. Balanced conclusion is nothing but mentioning the positives of the concept, negatives of the concept, but incline more towards the positives of the concept. For example, you have NGOs faces many challenges. Though NGOs faces many challenges, they are contributing a lot to the democratic governance in the form of participatory governance. Like that, you can use balanced conclusion. Futuristic conclusion is nothing but providing solutions for future. In question it is asked about what are the challenges for pressure groups, or what are the limitations of pressure groups. There you can address it as you can write the limitations of the pressure groups in the body. Then you can provide solutions in our Coming to SDG linked conclusion. SDG means Sustainable Development Goals. So there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals. You can use SDGs anywhere in your conclusion according to the question which is asked in the mains examination. Like మనం ఏదైనా గరం మసాలా కానీ ఏదైనా మసాలా తయారు చేసి మనం మనకు నచ్చినట్టు రెసిపీస్ తయారు చేసుకుంటామో అదేవిధంగా మనం ఈ ఎస్డిజీస్ 17 ఎస్డిజీస్ని యూజ్ చేసుకొని కంక్లూజన్ను రెడీమేడ్ చేసి పెట్టుకొని ఉండాలి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, there is a question related to renewable energy. For that you can use SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, in your conclusion. Like that, public distribution system, there is a question related to public distribution system. You can answer public distribution system with SDGs 2, which means zero hunger. Like that, for health you can write SDG 3, good health and well-being. And for education you can write SDG 4, quality education. According to me, futuristic conclusion which incorporated SDGs in it will give you more marks. మీన్స్ ఫ్యూచరిస్టిక్ సొల్యూషన్ రాస్తూ అందులో ఎస్డిజీస్ కానీ మనం లింక్ చేస్తే మనకు మంచి మార్క్స్ రావడానికి ఛాన్సెస్ ఉంటాయి. సో గుడ్ మార్క్స్ రావాలంటే మనం మెయిన్ చేయాల్సిందిగా ఏంటంటే గుడ్ ఇంట్రొడక్షన్, body, addressing each and every dimensions asked in the question, and concluding properly. So you have to use these structure in order to get good marks. మనకు గుడ్ మార్క్స్ రావాలంటే ఇంట్రడక్షన్ మంచిగా ఉండాలా, బాడీ మంచిగా ఉండాలా, కంక్లూజన్ మంచిగా ఉండాలా. మంచిగా ఉన్న అలా ఈ 3 మంచిగా ఉన్నప్పుడే మనకు మంచి మార్క్స్ వస్తాయి. ఇన్ సబ్సిక్వెంట్ క్లాసెస్ వీ విల్ డిస్కస్ how to write an introduction, body, and how to address and understand the each and every dimensions of the question, and how to write a conclusion for question given in the mains with a previous year questions. For such more updates and videos, subscribe to our guide ICS. Thank you so much.